Hi there, and welcome to the Celeb Tea, the dark side of Ramona Singer. For over a decade, Ramona Singer was one of the most recognizable and talked about figures in the Real Housewives of New York City. She built her reputation as bold, unapologetic, and never afraid to speak her mind. Whether fans loved or hated her, one thing was undeniable. Ramona had a knack for stirring the pot and keeping her name at the center of the drama. She quickly became known for her fiery outbursts and sharp tongue. Moments like her explosive arguments with fellow cast members, where she'd shout lines such as, "Are you kidding me, Bethany? Don't attack my company. I built it to support my family," became unforgettable hallmarks of her television persona. She often referenced her long marriage of nearly 30 years as proof of her resilience, proudly contrasting her story against castmates who had been divorced multiple times. Her words were emotional, raw, and sometimes cutting, which made for great television, but also cemented her image as one of Bravo's most controversial stars. Yet, while audiences were captivated by her glamorous lifestyle and blunt commentary, a much darker narrative was quietly developing away from the cameras. Court filings, workplace complaints, and a long list of accusations began to surface over the years. The same qualities that made her entertaining on screen, her unfiltered mouth, combative attitude, and refusal to back down, were also fueling a series of controversies that turned Ramona Singer into one of the most criticized personalities in the entire Housewives franchise. One infamous moment involved Ramona lashing out during an argument with Kristen Teichman. In the heat of the fight, she grabbed a glass and whipped it toward Kristen, striking her in the face. The shocking act left both cast members and fans stunned, raising the question of just how far Ramona was willing to go during confrontations. To some, it was a sign of reality TV taken too far. To others, it was simply another example of Ramona refusing to play by the rules of civility. Over the years, the Real Housewives of New York City served as a stage where Ramona's personality shined, but it also revealed troubling behavior patterns. The loud, unapologetic singer Stinger, as fans nicknamed her, thrived on conflict. If a feud was brewing, Ramona was usually at the center of it. She was never the type to quietly step back or let drama pass her by. Instead, she charged head first into it. This unfiltered approach often clashed with her co-stars. For instance, she and Bethany Frankel frequently butted heads, exchanging heated accusations about loyalty, friendship, and respect. Their arguments weren't just about petty disagreements. They showcased Ramona's tendency to escalate tension rather than resolve it. In one iconic scene, Bethany accused Ramona of not giving her a fair chance, while Ramona retorted angrily that Bethany had stormed in, acting superior without offering any space for reconciliation. To Ramona, it was always about standing her ground, even if it meant fracturing friendships in front of a national audience. Initially, this brashness worked in her favor. Viewers couldn't look away, and Bravo recognized her value as one of the franchise's most reliable sources of entertainment. But as the seasons passed, the very traits that once fueled her popularity began to overshadow her legacy. The blunt remarks that fans laughed at in 2008 started to feel mean-spirited in later years. The unapologetic behavior that once made her stand out increasingly appeared insensitive and reckless. Behind the glitz of Bravo's spotlight, allegations began piling up. Accusations of workplace misconduct, offensive comments, and inappropriate behavior off-camera chipped away at her reputation. Fame had given Ramona wealth and influence, but it also magnified every mistake. The line between television drama and real-life controversy blurred, and the Ramona Singer story became less about entertainment and more about accountability. In 2023, her public image faced one of its most serious blows yet. Vanity Fair published an in-depth exposé examining the culture behind the scenes of Bravo and the Real Housewives. At the center of that investigation was none other than Ramona Singer herself. The report highlighted a shocking revelation. Ramona had allegedly used a racial slur in a text exchange with a Page Six reporter. Within hours of the report's publication, her name disappeared from BravoCon's official lineup. The decision sent shockwaves through the Bravo fandom. For a star who had been part of the franchise since its debut in 2008, being erased from one of the network's biggest fan events was a sign of just how damaging the accusations had become. The exposé didn't stop there. It detailed how Ramona had allegedly used the N-word during a conversation with a black producer years earlier. This claim, reportedly confirmed during a phone call, resurfaced in Vanity Fair's reporting and reignited conversations about racism, accountability, and toxic workplace behavior within the Bravo universe. For many fans, this marked a turning point. Ramona wasn't just the singer-stinger anymore. She was now a symbol of the darker, more troubling side of reality television fame. The rise and decline of Ramona Singer. When The Real Housewives of New York City first premiered in 2008, Ramona Singer quickly distinguished herself from the rest of the cast. Unlike some of her co-stars who presented polished images, Ramona embraced being unfiltered and brutally honest. She wasn't afraid to interrupt, raise her voice, or speak about subjects others tiptoed around. This approach made her polarizing, but it also made her unforgettable. Fans either rooted for her fiery comebacks or shook their heads in disbelief at her lack of restraint. Either way, she captured attention, and that was exactly what Bravo wanted. Her larger-than-life personality earned her the nickname the Singer Stinger, because if there was a conflict, Ramona would inevitably strike. She had a way of saying what others were thinking, but were too afraid to admit, and that made her stand out in the crowded reality TV landscape. For years, she was a staple of Bravo's programming, not just for her personal storylines, but also for the chaos she brought to every season. But the more visibility she gained, the harder it became to separate the on-screen persona from the off-screen individual. Ramona's confidence often crossed into arrogance, and her humor sometimes veered into territory that many found offensive. While her defenders argued that she was simply being real, her critics pointed out that certain behaviors and words crossed a line, especially in a public forum watched by millions. As her fame grew, so did the scrutiny. Incidents that might have been brushed aside in the early seasons started gaining traction in the press and on social media. Reality television had changed. Fans were no longer content to laugh off problematic moments as entertainment. Instead, they held stars accountable in ways that Bravo's early casts never experienced. Ramona, unfortunately, found herself at the center of this cultural shift. The 2023 Vanity Fair exposé only cemented that reality. What was once seen as a woman who told it like it is began to look more like a pattern of harmful behavior. The alleged use of a racial slur was not just a minor scandal, it became a career-altering moment. Her swift removal from BravoCon demonstrated how seriously the network was beginning to take issues of racism and inclusivity, and Ramona's actions seemed incompatible with that new direction. The fallout was swift. For longtime viewers, it was a jarring reminder that the people they had been watching on television for over a decade were not just characters in a show, they were real individuals whose actions carried real consequences. Ramona, who had once prided herself on being unapologetically herself, was now facing the harsh truth that not every word or action could be excused as just reality TV. Looking back, Ramona's story reflects both the rise and pitfalls of reality television fame. On one hand, she achieved a level of notoriety and financial success that many aspiring TV stars dream of. She became a household name, launched business ventures, and enjoyed the perks of Bravo's spotlight. On the other hand, her unwillingness to adapt, apologize, or learn from past mistakes ultimately damaged the very reputation that made her famous. The dark side of Ramona Singer is not just about one individual, it is also about the culture of reality television itself. The industry rewards big personalities, dramatic outbursts, and unfiltered opinions, but it also exposes every flaw under a microscope. For Ramona, that meant years of being celebrated for her boldness, followed by years of being criticized for the very same traits. In the end, Ramona's legacy is complicated. She was undeniably one of the central figures who made The Real Housewives of New York City a success. But she also became a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked fame. Her journey serves as a reminder that while reality TV can catapult someone into the spotlight, it can just as quickly turn that spotlight into a harsh glare, revealing truths that fans may not want to see, but that cannot be ignored.